Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Blake Majerzak and Mike Iveson.
Welcome into another edition of Off the Board. I'm Blake Majerzak. He's Mike Iveson, and I'm on a hot streak.
Yes, you are. Hot. You have caught up, and I'm beaten down. I
wouldn't say I'm caught up. I'm inching closer, though.
Okay.
I had a
fair enough.
I had a very good week. I was going through my picks just before the show, like everything last week. I went college and NCAA combined 22-16.
That's good. I had a good NCAA weekend. A real nice one. But the NFL caught me. I'm telling you, the NFL is going to get me again this week, Blake. The meeting of the books and the professional lines are they're closer.
Yeah.
So everything is on two sides. Like you can see it from book to book that I follow. You can see that this book has this sharp side, this book has this sharp side, and I don't decide which one's right. I throw that one out. So I'm down to just a couple of bets, and even then I'm fudging my numbers as far as I don't like double line moves, but if they kind of want today taking the Vikings. The Vikings got back up to 6. That's a double line move that I don't want, but I want some action this weekend. So I'm going to take my lumps when I do stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like for college especially, this is when like championship week for me, I always do well. We'll see this year. Now that I'm like saying that out loud, it's probably gonna be a horrible weekend. But generally, I do really well. Like there was a year, I want to say it was 2 years ago, I swept the board, picked every game against the spread, swept the board completely.
And
so
go ahead.
At this point in the season, like I know what teams I like.
Yeah. You've collected your data. This is when all the data points come together. So you have your own data points. I'm stealing data points basically. And the data points I'm stealing are getting closer and closer together with the sports books data points because they all have the same information. They all see it. So that's why everything's so tight. And I end up not being on a lot of stuff. But funny you bring up championship weekend and the heater you were on and you won the board. You swept the board, right? I told you one of my favorite stories. I was in Vegas 3 years ago, and I love this. This is my favorite weekend to be in Vegas. Blake, you'd go absolutely bonkers. I was at the Circa sports pool, the pool there, Stadium Swim, the biggest TV in Vegas. It was 70 degrees. I had a credit, so just food and beer was coming. Blake, I went 0-9. My son was texting me, chirping me the entire. He's like, "You suck. You're no good." Like 0-9. I was thinking I was so good. I had one line. It was started my hate of Gundy. Mike Gundy. I think they're playing. I don't know why I want to say Baylor. If that could be, that's why it's in my brain.
Was it the game that came right down to the end? And
yes.
That was the same.
They were on their like third string quarterback, and I got such a good freaking line. And not only that one, I think they had at least 2 times they got stalled on the goal line where it would have covered. But anyway, so I go 0-9. I've never before and never since have I ever gone over. So I'm whatever. Have a great night. I come back the next day, Blake. Something else I've never done. 9-0 in the NFL.
That's beautiful.
And walked out scot clean. A little bit of money. I had a little bit of money because it was the weekend. The Lions beat the Vikings at home as 7-point dogs straight up, and I had them plus 450 on the money line. They walked it off at the buzzer there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I love this week. I love being there. Like you can focus on 1 or 2 games at a time, which I need my one little focus. But I got absolutely destroyed in Vegas conference weekend. But hey, I'm back.
I think, and I can look back on my because I have an app that like I've been tracking everything for like however many years. I think it was the year before that was the year that I went 9-0, swept the board. But that year, I remember I got killed because that was the same year that USC and Utah played in the Pac-12.
Oh yeah,
I had taken USC, and I was just.
And the year I was there and it just summed it up because the Big Ten was the last game to go off, was the last game to finish there on Saturday night. It was so bad, like I left. I would have if I would have won that bet, I would have had to come all the way back to the old part of Vegas to I'm like, Christy, let's just go. This is going to lose. And it was, I want to say it was like an over 44, 45. You'll know the number because I believe Michigan shut Iowa out that year.
Yeah.
And
wait, that was the Purdue game.
Okay, whatever. It was a meaningless touchdown at the end of the game that it scored that went over. And I just laughed. I'm like, of course it did. Of course it did. They scored like 21 points or something in the fourth quarter in an absolute blowout.
Yep.
Shit happens.
Because the Big Ten championships were Iowa, Purdue, Iowa. So that would have been the Purdue one.
Yeah. It was not good. It was not good. But anyways,
it's a real shame. It's a real shame we're not going to see Ohio State play there this weekend.
I'm sure you are heartbroken. How good was that for you? I was so happy for you. I immediately texted you. I couldn't believe it.
I was giddy. I know I've talked about it with Sean. I watch that game alone every year. I can't watch it with anyone else. Like, not even my wife. I'm locked in this room. I close the door. I have to be by myself because I say things that should never be repeated. And I was locked in on that game. And after the first couple of drives, I felt good. And I told you, and I didn't say it on the show because I didn't want to be called a homer, but I had bet Michigan on Tuesday at money line plus 1,000.
Yes.
I was very, very, very happy with the result for multiple reasons. But when Warren threw that pick at the goal line, the roller coaster of emotions that I had, it was undefeated. It was incredible. I went because I loved the play call. Like I was like, yes, he's got it. I was like, yes, yes.
The play was there.
And then I screamed out a no, like just no, like as loud as I could. And my wife had to, like, she came in and checked on me. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like,
"You just die."
I was like, "No, I'm not okay." It was. It was.
You say the right play call because it was clearly there, but to put him in that position at that moment when you really didn't need to. What was the only question that I had at the end? That's when I'll question the coordinators and the calls that are made because they could have ran that ball. They could have done a lot. Bottom line is he's got to make that pass. I mean that was it was open. Or throw it was an incredible.
It was an incredible play by the DN though.
Yes.
Like an absolutely incredible play. The fact that he read that from his defensive end position, it was just a real shame that he was crying after the game and whining about the flag. It was a real shame. It was a real shame. So I was very upset about it.
I think I let you know because you said that my waitress needed to be deported. The first thing I got greeted was such a Canadian thing. Like, we go there, and I've told you, like, every time I go, they have hockey on, and I'm like, can you put the Michigan game on? Every weekend I'm there. I got to watch the Michigan game. And I did it again, and she came in, and she's like, oh, I know what channel that's on because I bet on Ohio. Oh.
What a loser.
But it makes it even better. I was like, so you gave up, that's a lot of points to give up. And it was like the deer in headlights. Points? What are you talking about? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you just bet them to win the game. She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, just so you know, we're from Michigan. Like they don't figure we were in Newmarket, Ontario, for God's sakes. I don't think they expected anybody from that area to be coming in, but I could have went back and rubbed that in her face. But
no, it was a great Saturday. I was giddy and I was like floating around the whole rest of the day.
Of course, those are beautiful days.
It was a great beautiful day. I had a feeling, but I was, you never know until the game starts rolling. And the thing is, and this is me being 100% honest, like as much as Michigan won that game and like played physical and bully balled, Ohio State lost that game. Like they just didn't. I don't know what that game plan was. Michigan is just in their head 1,000%.
Well, that's what it is. when
And
you're
I'm
in
not going to
someone's
complain
head,
about it.
when someone's living in your head rent free, that's the things Michigan did that for years. I mean, there's a lot of things that end up going into that, and it is real. And the one thing it messes with is bookmakers and these lines, since this is what we're talking about, is because you can't put that in a line because they don't believe in it. Metrics and analytics don't believe in that kind of stuff. So they can't put that in their analysis of the game or their life. But it's real. It is real, and it's there.
3 out of the last 4 years, Ohio State's been favored in that game. The only year that Michigan was favored was last year. So, I mean, they clearly, the bookmakers can't figure it out.
Yeah.
But
no.
Again, I'm not going to complain.
Well, here's the thing, though, that just walks right into something. I was reading an article, Blake, and let's just go right into this, because something that we talk about a lot is that closing line value. And this is where this whole article went. I wish I saved it and sent it to you, but I was reading it in little Newmarket, Ontario. And so my question to you is, when we talk about closing line value, when you don't get the best of the number. So let's say you took the Lions tonight -5 and this game goes off at -3. What's the first thing that comes to your head?
What's the first thing that comes to my head?
Yeah, like you're saying that you
nowadays I'd probably cash out.
Boom. Okay. So that's where I wanted to go, because you're thinking of the number.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we go all the way back to our very first show, when I was talking about closing line value, and we want to make sure you're winning. If you win closing line value, you're going to be a successful bettor. And it's not because of the number, though. It's because you get on the right side. So that's the first thing I think of. Like, if I took the Lions at 5 and the game went off at 3, I'm on the wrong side of it, because that line went towards Green Bay. So I'm on the wrong side. The pros are on that side. You're going to lose more of those bets that you're going to win. And this was the gist, a little bit. One of the gists of the article was only 16% of the favorites don't cover when they win. Okay. And that doesn't seem like much. Like, Mike, what does that number mean? That means 84% of the time you're just picking the winner. So if you're just picking the winner, whether it's the dog, because if the dog wins, the dog wins. It's not about covering, right?
Yeah.
So that 16% is the dog winning with the number. Only 16% of the time does that line come into it. So then you start thinking, how many times this year, when you didn't get the best of the line, it happens? Did you lose your bet because you didn't get the best of the line?
Yeah, I mean, I vividly remember the Clemson game.
Right.
It was Clemson, Syracuse. We had picked it on the show, and I think it was at like, I want to say 16. And by game time, it was, because I wait until Saturday.
You're a waiter. I'm an earlier, but like, when you think about the number of bets that you make, there's one. Like, I was thinking there was 2 or 3. There was the Buffalo under this weekend. I didn't get the best of the number. If I would have had the best of the number, I would have won that bet. I lost that bet. But that's like, I could think of 2 or 3 of them. So it's really not about that. So I wanted to get that out there, like, because I will beat myself up, but the odds are that is not going to beat you. However, the bigger part of that article, I get long-winded sometimes, you know this, is what you were saying, that those things are, maybe they're going to put them in the line. The bookmakers can't catch up with the Ohio State stuff. They actually there's a guy out there that did a study. I'm not going to be able to explain it. I'm not going to go into it, but he proved all the public biases that go into the betting things. And so as I wanted to put that in there, because as we go through our bets, what is the public sees? You'll hear me say it, the public sees. And I mentioned it's a lot of those biases are what he was talking about, be it teams that score a lot of points, what they did last week, the recency bias you talk about all the time. He did a whole thing of it and had the charts and the numbers of what happened the week before and where those lines went and where they should have been. It was pretty interesting. But again, so they will catch up to it and they will put those things into it, but then they don't want to, because what happens the week before? Everyone's on Ohio State, right? So who knows?
Yeah, it's whatever's most recent in people's heads.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And you know what they want to see. They want to see favorites. They want to see overs. And they have the bias towards, be it the home teams, they have the bias on whoever's on the primetime games.
Yep.
And I just lost my train of thought of the higher ranked teams.
Yep.
And that came into a lot of trends and stuff we were talking about.
Yeah, 100%. All right, do you want to review last week real quick?
No.
Okay.
Let's just skip it. Let's just go away. Make it go away. Away.
I want to.
Stop the pain. Stop the pain.
For once, I want to. So we'll start with those Thanksgiving and Black Friday games. Just real quick, anything that sticks out to you out of these games?
The whole day sticks out to me. And it's not because I lost. It's because it's not often that I accept my losses. I was on the wrong side of things. I think I was on the Detroit bet. I still would make that bet. That was a bad half of football. It was the first time they got caught playing with their food. They came out and didn't do well. I totally got Lock wrong in the Giants game. Not only did I get it wrong, that line moved away from me instead of with me the way I thought it would be. Miami totally got that wrong. Don't play in the cold. Miami stinks. And Kansas City, I bet that revenge factor that they were going to try to make up for the Grinch that stole Christmas last year, and they did Kansas City things.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was not on the right side of any totals, but I was on the right side of all the lines. So I didn't watch any of Kansas City in the Raiders, like legitimately at all, because my wife pulled me out of the house for Black Friday shopping, of course. But I saw like the end and what happened and all of that. But I mean, my biggest takeaway was I think that Chicago and that whole debacle, they might end up being better off, like even this week.
Was that an Eberflus thing to do or what? That was
so bad.
The look on Dan Campbell's face when he turned back to the bench going, did that just happen? I don't know if the play call, everything I've ever seen, but I've never seen an opposing team go, what the F did the other team just do?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll take the win and leave, because they should have lost if not been in overtime.
Yeah. No, I mean it was insane. But a win's a win. So
yeah, is Kansas City? Is Kansas City going to go down as the luckiest team ever? They're the worst 11-1 team in NFL history.
So, okay, I heard a stat earlier this week, and I don't want to completely butcher it, but the last team that has this close of a point differential and this record went on to win the Super Bowl.
Of course they did, right? That would be the most Kansas City thing to do, because.
But also think about it. Playoff games are always played tight.
Yeah.
If you're a team that's just constantly playing in tight games, you're going to be mentally prepared for those moments.
Yes. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want to have to do it, but it's one thing that you learn from when you do it. And they're not a team that they don't have room to learn. And that's just what it is.
And the scary thing about the Chiefs, too, is now they're getting healthier. Like Hollywood Brown's supposed to be coming back. Pacheco's back.
Yep. And full load Pacheco.
Yeah.
Full load Pacheco. They're getting the offensive line back. That gets into one of my plays this weekend. I don't know why I go back to the well so many times, but I think I have to. But again, another thing when I look at these is we were talking about the lines, and the books line and the professional gamblers lines are getting so close. I tend to do worse at the end of the year, and I think we're seeing that right now. I forced a lot of it, and hopefully I'll be better. I promised to be better. Didn't I? I promised to be better.
You promise. That's all we can ask for. All right. College games. We had a lot of games, and I think we both had good weeks. I mean, I'll take my week 100%, and I know you'll take your week. You absolutely killed it.
And we called the Miami. We called the Carrier Dome game. Like as that game was going on, I laughed not as much because of the Miami play. I would not have gotten off that. It was because how was I not? I spoke about the over. I put numbers to the over when I was speaking about it, and then I just left it there and just walked away from it, and I just laughed the entire time.
Yeah, I mean the Notre Dame USC game.
Oh,
Did you see
I watched the
that?
entire thing.
Okay, a 99-yard pick six and a 100-yard pick six when USC had the ball like first and goal.
I couldn't understand that game. I was very happy with that game. But like I couldn't even get. I think I sent you a couple of texts. One of them I know is about the Auburn game that I have a lawsuit out on Hugh Freeze, and I don't understand this guy and what he does. Honestly, Michigan should hire him because I thought Michigan mismanaged the clock towards the end of the game, and that should have been more of a walk-off if they ran the clock right. That's getting nitpicky. Hugh Freeze is down by 3 scores, and he's playing the game like he's up and he's running the clock. Like, I don't understand what he did. The play at the end of the half, at the 1 yard line, what are you doing? You're a 5-6 team or whatever you are. Like, I wanted to sue him. I couldn't do it. The Notre Dame game, I couldn't believe I ended up like that was just going back and forth. I didn't think anyone was going to stop anyone. It was going to be, like a 70-71 final or something stupid is what that looked like. Then all of a sudden, Notre Dame's defense showed up a little bit, but I think it's number 29 on Notre Dame's defense. If he's a safety or that, seriously, first of all, I don't think he's Catholic, so I don't know why he's going there, but he needs to go away. He single-handedly is the reason I did not bet them. Remember, I told you 15-1 odds. I was telling you the whole weekend. I'm like, I can't put any money on a team that guy, that's one of the worst corners or whoever he is I've ever seen.
Well, they had like an All-American corner go down for the season. So they're like on backups a lot on defense. So that's why I don't like them in the playoff at all. But,
I do not now. I'm glad I watched that game.
Also, it's funny you bring that. Did you know that BYU's quarterback is Jewish?
He just got an NIL deal.
Yeah, huge NIL deal.
Yeah,
but
huge.
His nickname's BY Jew. I just love that.
Awesome. That is awesome. Anything on the borderline of possibly offending somebody is great.
He's fantastic, though.
I love it.
And he slings dimes. The fact that they went 10-0 and didn't even make championship week, too.
Look, I've made comments about this. More money, more problems, more teams, more problems. Like, seriously, like I like the chaos, so it's making me laugh listening to it, but it is also sad. It is so sad how crooked it is, and it's crooked towards you too, but like the Big Ten's in on the crook, and the SEC is the most crooked of them all. They're so afraid of the Big Ten and the SEC. There's no reason. I backed off it. I asked you, my college guy, Blake, 8-1 odds. Miami should be making this, right? You're like, no, boom, out, because Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why? SEC.
Those two leagues run the sport. They control all the money, and they're all. We'll have more time next week because we're only gonna have one college game next week, so we can get into some playoff stuff. So we can really get into it. But yeah, I mean, it's all the money. It's all the money. So the rest of the NFL,
make betting games, make the games bettable, like good, so we can watch them. That's all I care about. Sorry, go ahead. Bro.
Oh, you're fine. Rest of the NFL, the Sunday slate.
No. Wait, where'd that thing? Yes, play. Keep that one. No.
You, sir, know better than to bet against Tomlin as a dog. You know better. And
on top of that, Blake, what else do I know better than to do in that situation? And I'm going back to this too. Zach Taylor. Yeah, it's more than just a Zach Taylor. And I'm going back to it again, of course, this weekend, because I've got to take those biases that I have out of it when I'm making bets that I'm forced to make. But yeah, this is another one that when I sat there, of course, I watch all these games, got the Cincinnati one wrong. Like, I can always pull out of these bets, and I do at times. Cincinnati, I got that one wrong. The Chargers Atlanta game, I was high on that one. That was in my account. Like I was hammering
That game was
one.
so ugly.
Ugh.
That game was gross.
Yep, the Philadelphia Baltimore game. That was just sloppy. I don't think that lived up to what I wanted it to be. The Buffalo game, flat out, I got the bad number. Got it wrong. But I mean, I got the Philly game wrong. I got them wrong. I was on the wrong end. The Cleveland one, Cleveland, I wasn't. Cleveland again. Okay. Every week I have one of those games.
The Buffalo game, though, and I know you were on the under. The second I saw that snowstorm,
yeah,
I was like, this is Buffalo by a mil. It didn't matter the spread.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the easiest bet of my life.
And I'm right there with you. I wanted to live bet that, but I have shunned myself from live betting because it leads to a lot of bad habits and bad things I don't want to be a part of. That was the first thing I saw. I enjoy watching games in weather like that. They're fun to watch. But when I was watching that game, I'm like, I can go to bed. I know exactly how this is. Did you see the guys in San Francisco slipping? I'm like, there's no way this game goes under. You have to have the wind. The wind is the single sole factor that you have to have for the under to kind of have the wonder. As soon as the snow and those outside runs, it was my God, I can't think the Buffalo running back that had the James Cook had the long run that San Francisco's just like on ice skates.
He was like barely touched. Yes. It was an inside run. It was incredible. As soon
as that happened, I knew. I'm like, I'm out. I'm off this game.
Okay, and just real quick, last but not least, I know we both lost on this Cleveland bet. I don't care. Oh. I love Jameis Winston with all of my heart and all of my. He's the best.
I don't know if it was you or someone sent it to me, or did I hear it where they wanted to elect Jameis Winston all-time quarterback for every team in every game.
They should. Like
he is pure entertainment, and that's exactly what that was. 500 yards, 1,000 interceptions, blowing bets at the end of the game. I mean, and then so at there's the pick six. I'm like, screw that. I didn't even know they got back down to the goal line again. I didn't even know because I was so. I'm like, I'm out of here.
But and like just throws the like literally throws it right to the linebacker. It wasn't even. He went full gunslinger. It was incredible.
Oh, it was awful.
And then then his speech or at his post game where he says he was praying to God to stop giving him pick sixes. He's the best.
Thank you.
I don't care how good he is or how bad he is. Yeah. He is so entertaining.
And I don't want people to get hurt. I hate when people get hurt, but we owe that to Watson's injury that we get to see.
I mean, think about it. The fact
the rest of the year
their games are actually watchable and fun to watch is because he's in there.
Yes,
that team was brutal at the beginning of the season.
It'd be a nightmare to be a fan. It would be it's a nightmare to bet on his games. I avoided it this weekend just because I'm like, all right, I had my Jameis fill. I'm going to take a week off of Jameis bets, but he's a nightmare for bets. He just is, unless you're betting him to throw an interception.
Yeah. His odds for like 2+ interceptions have to be like minus 200.
Yeah, he's like Genty in touchdowns.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Let's see these numbers real quick because mine are going up. We're getting somewhere.
I can't get over 500. It's just a little loud.
You were at 500 last week, I think.
Yep. So and I'm not going to stay right long. I'm telling you, I forced a lot. I do not like any of my bets, Sam.
I am only 10 games below 500 right now, and that is incredible.
You had a great week. You had that. I tell you, it doesn't take much to lose it and be 20 games. And it doesn't take a lot to get it. It just takes a couple of nice weeks to get back up there. But before we get started, you want to hear a couple trends?
I would love to.
All right. I tried to focus these ones on the games we're doing for the conference little NCAA conference championship style trends. All right. This one's for the Undertaker here. Conference championship games with a total under 50. All right. And there's a few of them this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They're 23-12 to the over.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great because there's someone turned into the Undertaker again. However, last year, all of them went under.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun. So that was actually before last year was 23-8.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I
let's
got
go
killed
to
last year on championship week on over-unders. I remember that.
Iowa State is 70% ATS as a dog. Come on now. Here we go. So think about that one. Power 5 favorites in the neutral field conference championship game are 67% against the spread. So we're going to be doing those games. That's your Arizona State, Texas, Oregon, SMU. I've got Oregon twice, so I must have missed SMU. I think I just put Oregon twice. But so that's
all the other ones are home team.
Yep. So that's just gets you to a little bit there. Some NFL trends for tonight. The Lions are 20-6 against the spread tear versus winning teams. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That where we have come. Now, this one this is very Tomlin-like. I don't know if you caught this one. I don't know if you're a LaFleur fan or not. He is 18-5 ATS when getting 3 points or more.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
He gets a lot of flack. He's
a really good coach.
Yeah, he has really nice hair.
He does.
Yeah. For our Monday Night Football game, home teams, which would be Dallas, when it's the NFC and AFC, are only 29% against the spread. So that's a little love to your boy, Joe Burrow.
Do you know why they couldn't flex that game out? Because they wanted to.
Oh, and I have it written right in my thing. Like, how is this game not flexed?
Do you know why?
It's got to be Jerry Jones.
No.
Ooh.
It's so funny. So ESPN is doing a simulcast, and it's also the Simpsons.
Oh yeah,
game.
That's right. It's the Simpsons game. That is
because of all the planning that went into that. They couldn't flex it out because they would have had to redo a bunch of VO and all this stuff. So they had to leave it Monday.
That is so bad.
Because again, it's the Simpsons game.
Here's the thing, though. It's actually a pretty bettable game. Like I'm going to wait on this one and see where it goes, but I will be on this game. And I obviously we have it on our show bets. So I'm going to put one on there. And that's kind of the angle I'm going to be taking on it. But Cincinnati, 15-1 as a road favorite against the spread.
Joe Burrow.
Zach Taylor.
If anyone, by the way, online and like Shannon Sharp this week was like ripping Joe Burrow.
No,
like he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Their defense is horrible.
With a horrible team. That is a horrible defense. That defense, I turned that. I can't.
He's playing out of his mind. By the way, I don't know if you normally bet this, but I think he's plus 900 right now to win Offensive Player of the Year.
So the problem with that one is,
are they going to give a running MVP?
So you think he's going to win MVP? You've got so he has to for that to come through. Then he has to do that, and then Josh Allen doesn't get the fallback, or Jared Goff doesn't get. It wouldn't be Goff. It'd be more Josh Allen would get the fallback on that. There's too many people in there.
I mean, Burrow's numbers are better.
In some respect, yes, but there's no quarterback right now that is doing what Josh Allen is doing. He's their leading rusher and their leading. It's how they're gonna look at that. And if he doesn't get the MVP
value,
I got you. I've got
good
you.
Value.
I know. So last three here, because we're on this one too. The Minnesota and the Falcons game, right? Minnesota. This is incredible. Minnesota is 8-22 in their last 30. Against the spread as a home favorite. Isn't that nuts?
That's insane.
That
they either just play in tight games or lose.
And you just summed up Minnesota. I mean, how many years in a row have they been in one possession, like close, shitty games? Like their luck factor is just like Kansas City's at times. The Chargers are 13-2 in their last 15 to the under when they have 7 days rest, which they're on. Josh Allen, speaking of, 33-19 to the under on the road. all games that we have, none of the sides I'm going to be on because I just don't like to be a trendy kind of guy. Let's get this going, baby.
All right. So we'll start with championship week picks.
Yes.
As we both said, one of our favorite weekends of the year.
Absolutely.
I love it. First game. I wanted this on the card because I find it a very interesting game. Tulane's going to Army. Army obviously has Army Navy next week too, which I think adds another wrinkle to this. Tulane is favored by 4 on the road. This is one that is not a neutral site. It is at West Point. The over-under here is 45.5.
The NCAA needs to call me and let me know these things. How is this not a neutral site? How does Army get this game?
Because they went undefeated in conference.
Come on. Every championship game should be a road trip for the teams. They get to go to Dairy Queen and have fun and go.
That's
on
what
the
bowl
road.
games are for, Mike.
Oh,
so the only leagues that have neutral site championship games are the Power 4.
Okay, I know that now. I know that now. I did not.
It didn't used to be that way.
Okay.
This is a more recent thing. But it's saving those conferences a lot of money.
Yeah, it's all about money, right? Yeah. But it wouldn't change my bet anyways.
So I will be taking Army as the home dog, and I will also be on the under. I think for Tulane going all the way to West Point, it's going to be very cold there. It always is. A bunch of Louisiana kids don't want to play in cold weather. It's kind of like the Dolphins thing we've talked about.
Yep.
I really like the under here, and I think Army wins. I think Army wins outright. And with conference championship games, honestly, if you like the dog, generally the dog wins outright. Unless it's a giant spread.
Yeah.
If you like a dog, take them outright. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, is just taking Army on the money line.
And when you get into this, they're going to play into a lot of biases, right? I mean, everyone's going to be watching these games. Everyone saw Army get their butt kicked. Anyways, besides that, I got to put a disclaimer out here. Like, this is the first time only. This is going to be a weekend like this. Every bet I'm doing for the show, I actually have in my account. So,
every single one.
The lines are fluctuated. I have a little bit better lines, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to stick to our lines when giving this out and giving these leans. To start with this one, I would be leaning Tulane, and I'll get to that with my final explanation. But I'm sticking with the total. So these two teams combined for almost 72 points a game. They both scored 45 last week, actually, so almost going over by themselves. However, despite that, a majority of bets and a majority of money are on the over 45.5 in this game. However, like, it opened up at 48.5. It's dropped down to 45.5. I'm going to side with the reverse line movement there. I'm going with the Tulane Army under 45.5. Now, the main reason to this and why I would lean Tulane, but I did not jump on it because of the numbers. Do you know who Tulane's coach is? I know you do. Come on.
It's not Willie Fritz anymore. He's at Houston.
Nope.
Oh, man. You put me on the spot. No,
wow.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, John Summerall.
Okay, yeah. I did know that. Damn it.
Did you know where he coached before Tulane? I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did you say no?
No.
He was at Troy. Well, at Troy, he played Army twice. He beat them 19-0, and he beat them 10-9. He knows how to play this defense, defense against these guys. He knows them, right? So that's where another little layer to my under. But if I was going in the numbers with my way, I would have been on Tulane, but I'm just not.
I like that. I like that factoid. I really do.
Yeah, thank you.
I really like that. Thank you for that.
That's what happens. I find little nuggets like that when I'm off my medication. I'm just digging. The squirrel finding nuts.
All right. On to the Mountain West. UNLV at Boise. This is not neutral site. I thought it was. I think even last year it was.
Wait. It's not at Allegiant?
No, it's at the Smurf turf.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I was talking about it a couple weeks ago that I thought this game was at Allegiant. And
it used to be.
Man, I got to get my shit straight when I'm laying bets.
Yeah. No, this is at Boise.
All right.
This is at Boise. Boise's favored by 4. Over under here is 57.5. Mike, you go ahead and go first.
Mistakes have been made, and a mistake was made here by not knowing that, but it wouldn't change because it wouldn't change my numbers, right? All right, so the public's looking at this and they see both teams coming in on fire. But what does the public remember, Blake? The public remembers October 25th when Boise beat UNLV. They think the higher ranked team, another bias that we talk about, the team should be favored by more points. However, despite 71% of the bets on Boise, this line opened 5.5 and has dropped to 4. I'm going to take that sharp reverse line movement. I'm taking UNLV and the points 4 here. I've got it 4.5 in my account. The public also loves overs when they're watching TV, right? And 64% of the bettors are taking the over in this game because these teams average 78 points a game. They've gone over this total in 5 of the last 6 games. Again, more biases of why people are on that over. But this total has dropped from 58.5 to 58. More sharp reverse line movement. I'm taking UNLV and the under.
I am legitimately right with you.
I
also have UNLV in the under. When these two teams met early in the season, it was a lower scoring game, especially Boise as of late. Genty's been really slowed down.
He's been getting beat up.
Yeah. And honestly, I love Boise. I like rooting for them. I do not want them to be a top 4 seed. I just don't. I don't want that. I don't want that in this. I don't want them getting blown out in the second round.
The only good that will come of that would be stuff like that leads to changes, and there has to be change. We'll get to the playoff format, so there has to be, and that could be the thing that leads to changes. But for the purpose of our bet, I don't care. I don't want them there.
Yeah.
And I think the last time UNLV played them real good. They played Genty real good. They got to him. They tackled him, which not a lot of people are tackling this guy. And they tried their damnedest. And they did a really good job.
He only had 1 touchdown in that game, and it wasn't a long one.
No, and they tried their best to get him the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
But at the cost that he's not going to be as effective in this game when it comes to it. And I mean, it's going to be like, this is another conversation for another day too, but Blake, how can a running back ever win the Heisman if he doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, the year he had is great, but that's a story for another time. We're both on UNLV in the under.
And that makes that Tulane game hugely important too, because if Tulane wins, and dominates Army, they could be the team getting into the playoff and not either of these teams. So
I could see them also changing the rule the night before and letting another SEC team in, but that's okay.
All right, on to the Big 12. Arizona State, this is neutral site. This is a neutral site. This one's at Jerry World.
Okay.
Iowa State, Arizona State. Arizona State is favored by 2. Over under here is 49.5. This one is one I've kind of gone back and forth on because of Big 12 chaos. And I know what's going to happen. I'm just predicting this now. I'm going to take Arizona State minus the 2.
Okay.
Arizona State's going to win by 1.
Okay. And this line's been all over the place.
I believe it. It's the Big 12.
It's almost worth a money line shot.
Yeah.
And what a story. I mean, we talked about this with us last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, these guys were picked the worst coach in the league and to be the bottom of this league. And here they are in the championship game. And they're killing it. They're coming in on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, I wouldn't forget that trend of Iowa State 70%. I didn't have a date on. I think it was like 2013 as a dog. So I was leaning towards taking the dog, but the numbers just didn't work out for me. So I'm going to stick to the total here. These teams, again, I always have to do the math, average 54 points a game. Here it is. Arizona State is absolutely on fire, winning 5 in a row, going over this number, this total in 4 of those games. Iowa State is 3-1 in their last 4, going over in all 4 of those games. So the public sees it, the public bias, right? Easy over. However, despite 69% of the bets on this over, this total opened 50.5. I got it at 50, dropped down to 49.5 for the show. I'm going to take that sharp reverse line movement. I'm taking this under 49.5. Yeah. And watching ASU play, I don't know how this game goes under, but hey, what do I know?
I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to bet it.
Oh, God. How many times? Oh, you know what? I didn't even mention this. Look at this random thought that just came into my head. And I'm just totally blowing the show up right here. What is your, off the top of your head, the worst betting loss you've ever had? Not like a bad beat, but like you got absolutely destroyed. It wasn't even close to the line or anything. So I just had mine this weekend.
There's so many losses. It's hard to pick one.
So many losses. But you would remember, like, I will always remember this because I want to say Tulsa was a dog to fave. I know they were. I want to say they were +2. They went to a -1. I took them on the money line. They lost 63-16 to FAU. Didn't they fire their coach? Or is that Gus Malzone and he went to the
No.
Like I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I made up. Like I was back and forth. I'm like, hey, I had a pretty good week. I go, shit, what about that Tulsa game? And I thought I'm like, that score's got to be wrong. 63-16.
You thought you accidentally bet the basketball game?
Exactly. That was a minus. They were a -1. They were favorite. They lost by 800 points. I'm sorry. I don't know why that just came to my head. Unbelievable.
No, it's the bad beat. Like, it's hard for me to remember a game I just got completely wrong because I just try to like wash that out of my brain. I just think about the bad beats. Like the one that's always in my head, and it's why I hate Bo Nix, is his freshman year at Auburn. The Oregon when he beat Oregon on a last-second touchdown.
Yeah.
Like that game, like forever lives rent-free in my head. That one.
And I feel like I bring something up that makes you talk about that. It's almost like therapy here. I feel like I say something that brings that up. Everybody, especially with my Bo Nix Denver over wins. I mean, and he's gonna win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then there's so many like times I've bet on Penn State and they just shoot themselves in the leg.
But I wrote a note and I just glanced over when I was talking about Arizona State and I saw that and it just makes me laugh. I'm like, that is awesome. 63. I will forever remember the score 63-16. It's probably a scoreagami too, for God's sake.
All right. On to the SEC, Georgia, Texas. Now this is a neutral site, but it is in Atlanta. Just so you know, Mike.
It's at the Butthole Dome, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. This is the Butthole Dome. Definitely. Texas is favored by 2.5. Over under here is 49.5. You go ahead, Mike.
All right.
What's your pick for the Butthole Dome?
The Butthole Dome. Again, I'm going to go to the total here, but if I had to pick a side, I don't know why I don't like Sarkisian, and I don't like him. And I kind of think of him and Kiffin go hand in hand. And I know they kind of came up together in that USC program, right? Yep. But anyways, so I would be leaning towards Georgia.
Saving coordinators.
Yeah. I would be leaning Georgia. I like them, but I'm going to stick with the total here. The public sees the big bad SEC teams. This team is averaging 69. These two teams are averaging 69 points a game.
Nice.
Both teams come in hot. Texas is on a 5-game win streak, averaging 35 points a game. Georgia 7-1 in their last 8 wins, and the last 2 of them have gone over this total. Easy over, right? Hey, however, despite a majority of the money and the bets on this over, the total opened 49.5. Like, it hasn't moved. It has sat at 49.5. No matter how many people are screaming this game's going to go over, I'm on the under. I'm taking the sharp line freeze.
I am with you on that under. and I'm also going to take Texas. I just think it's hard to beat a team twice. I think Texas's defense is really, 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 really good.
Really good.
And Georgia's defense is also very good. I don't think that Carson Beck is completely fixed. And Texas's defense is the best defense he has played all season. We saw what happened in the first game. He did not win them that game. Their defense.
No. And do you know how many touchdowns Carson Beck threw in the championship game last year?
0.
Yeah. This isn't going to be his game, and he's not going to do it against it. Again, I like him. I would have taken Georgia if I had to take a side. The numbers just didn't work out. But he wouldn't be winning him that game. It would be done other ways. There's going to be turnovers. Things are going to happen. But hey, you're right on.
We didn't pick that game last week, by the way. Did you watch the Georgia Tech game?
I did not.
Overtime?
Somebody sent me a text because were they up 17-0?
Yeah.
Someone sent me a text that was 17-0, and I laughed. And I don't know what. Again, this is just my brain, and you know where my brain's at this week. Was it a night game? Did I go to bed?
It was, yeah, but it was, well, I don't think you would have went to bed. It was Black Friday. It was a Friday night game.
But it was like a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock start?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was in bed. So there's no way. I mean, if I could tell you what I did, I think I was telling everyone, I went down and I watched football all day in the basement. And by the time I came up, I had been through a bottle and some cans, and I went right to bed. I was out. So I had no idea. The last update I got, it's not like this guy said, "Hey, it's 17-0." Then he said, "Hey, it's in the 18th overtime." Like, why not give me another text message?
It was crazy.
But I had no idea.
I was watching that game, and we're just getting off the rails here real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm watching that game, and it's Friday night, and my internet goes out completely out. I'm like, well,
and you're dependent on that, right?
Yeah, because I use YouTube TV.
Yep.
So what I did though was I pulled out the iPad, and I used my hotspot on my phone and watched the rest of the game
Look at you.
on my iPad. Because I was like, this game is too good. I have to watch the rest of it.
See, that was incredible. I would have just went to bed.
No, you got to power through sometimes.
Yeah, I can't.
Georgia Tech screwed up though because they got the ball second in the first overtime, and they should have went for 2 and just went for the win. And I don't know why they didn't, because they had.
I like that move.
I think all 4 of their starting cornerbacks went out in that game with injury.
Yeah, that's just bad.
So you just got to play for the win.
100%. You have to. I liked, and you know me, I'll go back and forth on some of those, but that's a no-brainer. In a game like that, nothing to lose. You go for the win. You lose. Brady Hoke, right, against Ohio State that one year. Did he go for 2? Hey, bravo, good job.
Yep. All right, ACC championship, Clemson, SMU. This game is played in Charlotte, North Carolina. Beautiful stadium down there. SMU is favored by 2.5. Over under here is 55.5. I'm going to take Clemson here. I think that they are going to give some playoff chaos, because then it will be a decision between Alabama and SMU in that situation, which will piss a lot of people off because
it's going to be Alabama.
I know.
Come on, there's no decision to be made. They made that
and I really like this over too. Because the reason why I like this over is I could see either one of these teams blowing out the other. I really could. And if it's a tight game, I still think it'll be a high-scoring tight game.
Yeah. So. I fireworks here. And I have to take biases out of this, because if I didn't, I'd be on Clemson with you, Blake. SMU comes in on a 9-game win streak here. And Clemson's 3-2 in their last 5. They lost last week to the Cox. The pros and the Joes are gathering on this one. We're all in this together, and they see the writing that's on the wall. Since the quarterback change, SMU hasn't looked back, Blake. They've just been absolutely dynamite. This is going to be good for college football if they win. And the numbers tell me this line opened up Clemson as a 1.5-point favorite, and it has flipped to SMU, as I've seen it as high as 2.5. So I will run with this 1.5. I actually have it in my account at 2. There's a good, again, it's pros and Joe. So it's 66% of the bets are there, but like 85% of the money. That's still a good split. That's a good sharp split in there. The same thing with the total. I'm going to be on the total here too. This thing opened up at 54.5. It jumped up to 55.5. I'm jumping on your overtrain, Blake. Let's go. Woo, woo. Give me SMU in the over, baby.
And just to add for football reasons with Clemson, I think this is the best offensive line that SMU has played their entire season. And by far the best defense they've played the entire season.
But that is part of the discussion of why Alabama's even able to be in a discussion is because of the schedule. I mean, not that Alabama's schedule is anything to write home about, but the quality of opponent that they have played. They're playing a Clemson almost every week, whether they're good or whether they're bad.
I mean, SMU's best win all season is probably Louisville.
And that got a little bit better last week, but in the week before last week, it looked like crap.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And to the Big Ten title. This is a huge game. Hey, did you see too how cheap tickets are for this game?
No.
Did you see that trend going around on Twitter?
This is still in Indianapolis, right?
Yes. You can get into the Big Ten title game for $12.
Get the fuck out, really? I mean, I'm sure they're way up there, but here's the thing. Like, single, you got nothing to do, or your girlfriend or the boys. How can you not go do that? Indy's a great town.
Yeah.
I'd be all over. This is going to be a good game. I
agree. It's just because, like, for Oregon to travel all the way to Indy, that's a big part of it. And do you want to know the legit reason?
Please.
Ohio State bought all the tickets.
Okay.
They can't get rid of them. Those losers.
Loser on the field and loser in your pocket. I love it.
That's what actually happened.
I love it. I tell you, what a collection of games these are. I love this. God, I'm gonna love Saturday. Love. I gotta make sure I'm not doing anything.
Your pick first.
Hold on, I gotta make sure. Like I could have, like, I'm gonna pull something up and somebody like going Christmas shopping at Bronner's or something, right?
Oh yeah.
No.
By the way, Oregon's favored by 3. The over under here is 49.5.
Yeah, no, just the Lindsey Muskies are in Aurora. All right, here we go. Penn State, Oregon. Now, again, I don't have a side. I'm going after the title, the total. If I had a side, I don't get that line, but I was really hoping the numbers would come into me. I think Oregon's gonna play with their foot and they're gonna wipe their butt. Like I don't see this as a close game, which scares me with my bet, but I don't see it. I do like the way Oregon's defense has been playing, but here we go. The public's seeing the number 1 Oregon Ducks undefeated, averaging 35 points a game, and they're hitting this total. They think they're going to hit the total 49 all by themselves, 49.5, whatever. Last week, Penn State scored 44. They scored 49 a couple weeks before that. I mean, this is going to be an easy over, right? However, despite a majority of the bets, this is how this week's gone. A majority of the bets and a majority of the money, this total has dropped from 51 to 49.5. I got it in my account at 50. I'm taking it at 49.5. Give me the under. I'm siding with the pros and the books. And if you've noticed, Blake, a lot of these bets I'm taking and I'm mentioning, it's with the pros and the books because they know they've cooked those public biases in there and they've taken all their money. They can't take any more pro money. Those lines are coming down towards my way. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to watch these games.
I'm with you on that under. I am also on Oregon -3. I think these are 2 very, very good defenses. Good defenses. I think Oregon's defense is, one of the best in the country. And I don't believe in Penn State's offense at all.
Yep.
And I mean, Oregon's just, they're playing the best football in the country right now. They're obviously the number 1 team. They're the least talked about number 1 team, like ever, by the way.
Yes, by far. But that's your West
because
Coast.
they're not in the and they're not in the drama.
Yeah.
Like they're not a bubble team. They could lose this game. They could have lost last week. They could have lost both, and they'd still be in.
The only drama they're in is that going undefeated all year and losing in the championship game still doesn't get them a bye.
Yep.
I've heard that talk a lot. Like there's going to be some changes as this goes along. Again, more teams, more problems, but so that's the only thing that they've been talked about. The only thing that scares me about this under, Blake, is for years people have screamed about Penn State being too conservative. We need them to be Penn State in this game, because if they decide to open this thing up, this thing could be in the 80s. Like
I just don't think they don't have the weapons to open it up. For them to win, it would have to be an under game.
Yes,
my worry would be Oregon just hitting a bunch of explosives. Because they have the receivers to do it.
Oh, absolutely. But it's one of those things that you hear it enough, They brought in an offensive coordinator to bring these kinds of, like, is this the game they waited for? And they don't think they can contain Oregon. They think they have to score. Like I'm just saying, that's the scary part in my brain that's saying you could see it going over. But I mean, I'm solid on this again. Every one of these bets I just laid out, not only for the show, are in my account. That doesn't happen. It's just the way it played out. I thought we were going to do all the games, like the Louisiana game, the Miami of Ohio. Those aren't in my account, so I would have had to play with those numbers for the show. But these are all. I am solid on this under.
Speaking of, real quick, I'll just go through the because I do have two other games that
So you did go into it? Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
I like Ohio plus the 2 against Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
That team, the way that they have rallied this year, that team got ravaged by the portal. And we can go over it to next week, our win totals picks that we had for the first show that we did.
Yeah.
Ohio was a team I took the under. And now they're playing in the MAC championship game.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we had talked about on that show, I don't really bet a lot of like preseason stuff like that, but that was one I did really like. I did not bet it, but now they're playing in the MAC championship. They had an incredible season, and I like them plus the 2.
Yeah.
And then also I like the Western Kentucky Jack State under 57.5.
Yep.
So those would be the other 2 games that I like.
And I liked them too. I had those marked, but that was one of those as I converged all my data, it was going back and forth, but I was on both of those right there. Yeah, I would have been on both of them.
All right, on to the NFL. We better get these in quick because we got a football game to get watching.
People don't want to listen to our dumbasses. They want to watch the live. So, this is going to be a good one.
So to start, we'll start with that game.
All right.
Probably the best game of the week. The Lions and the Packers on Thursday night. Detroit's favored by 3.5, over under here of 51.5. I'm going with the Pack, and I'm also going with the over 51.5. I think that this will be a high scoring affair. I like you talked about earlier with LaFleur and his numbers as a dog. I didn't know that, but that makes me like it even more.
Yep.
I think the Lions eventually, their defensive injuries are going to catch up to them. And Jordan Love has been playing like he has slowed down the turnovers a lot, basically brought them to a screeching halt. Mm-hmm. And I think that they just have too many weapons.
And teams know each other. They know their tendencies. These things kind of come together. And this game last year, it was the Thanksgiving game. I know in my brains. And Love looked unbelievable. It's indoors. It's a controlled environment. LaFleur knows what he's doing, those kinds of things. So I couldn't get a feel on the total. I'm going with you, Blake. I've got the Packers plus 3.5. The public loves the Lions. Their 10-game win streak, and so do I. I have to take my bias out of this, though. Even with the Packers being the healthier team, and they're on a 7-1 tear themselves, bettors are laying the points and think this line is way too short. It's going to be a get-right moment for the Lions from that second half on Thanksgiving. They think they're going to get it right here. However, despite 53% of the bets, this line opened at 5.5 and it's dropped to 3. I've seen it as low as 3. It's pretty much, I think, 3 around right now. But that's because the pro money is on it and the books know it. The books are following it. I'm on with the books and the pros. Give me the Packers.
Skydog,
hate it, but you got it.
Skydog, real quick. The kick is 8:15. I just double checked it, so you can bet it until right up until kickoff. Kickoff is 8:15, so we're still under that. Just to be fair and transparent, it's an 8:15 kick.
Yeah.
Next game is going to be the Vikings Falcons. Minnesota is favored by 5.5. Over under here is 45.5. Mike, you go ahead and start us out on this one.
I actually have to go to a different sheet, Blake, because these are both in my account. I love this game. I've been watching this one. This is one where, again, we were talking about closing line value. I've already lost value on this one. No, it came back to me because I do have it at 6. Anyways, before we get going, we got it. The Falcons have won 2 in the public season. The Falcons have won 2 in a row, going over this total 2 of those games. The Vikings have won 5 in a row. 3 of those games going over because I'm not only on the side, I'm also on this total here. I got to track it. Bettors are split on the side, though, Blake. 50-50 bets are coming in. They don't know whether to lay it with the Vikings, or take it with the Falcons. However, 50-50, that line shouldn't go anywhere. However, it opened at 6 and it's been as low as 5.5. I haven't seen it even juice to a 5. I got it at 6 in my account. I seen it bounce back up to 5.5 that I think we have it. It bounced back up to 6 a little bit late. But it was frozen. But anyways, that's why I took it. I've got the Falcons plus 6. And then despite a majority of the bets and money on the over, this total opened at 46.5. It's been as low as 45.5. Give me Atlanta and the under on this one. I like this under. I think Atlanta's defense is coming on. I really like the Vikings defense. I love the Kirk Cousins angle on this one. He looked terrible. Was he looking ahead, nervous about this one? My only nervousness is if Cousins just sucks and they put Penix in, both these bets are in trouble.
I am going to take Minnesota, and it's just because of how bad Kirk has played. I really wanted to take Atlanta because of the Kirk Cousins revenge factor. I just think that it's a great storyline and everything. But Minnesota's just been playing really, really well. The spread does kind of scare me because like we talked about earlier, Minnesota just plays in close field goal type games. So 5.5 is a lot for them. But I will still roll with Minnesota in that defense, getting after Kirk Cousins, blitzing the hell out of him, and forcing some turnovers.
You like that?
Yes, I do.
And Minnesota is, like I said, is on that same train as Kansas City. I just don't think they're Kansas City. So they've got to fall off this. I mean, they've won some games over the last 4 or 5 weeks that they just should not have won. And I think Atlanta's better than what they showed last week.
Bills at Rams. Buffalo is favored on the road by 3.5. Over under here of 49.5. I am going to take the Bills. I think the Bills are just rolling, and I'm also going to take the over here. Indoor game for Josh Allen. Points. I mean, they hit an over if you had it earlier in the week in that snow globe that they just played in. Now we're talking about them playing indoors in LA, everything. And the Rams defenses looked horrible. I mean, that Saints game was absolutely brutal last week for them. So I like Buffalo.
All right. And I like both of us. Both of us are kind of giving the double middle finger to the Josh Allen 33-19 on the road unders with this one. So I'm on this total with you. The Rams are coming off a win that went well under this total, right? With their offense struggling. Actually, the last few games they've been struggling. I don't think Matthew Stafford's right, in my opinion. I think there's something going on there, but that's just my opinion. The Bills own the 6th-ranked defense, right? Allowing only 10 points in 3 of their last 5 games. This defense is coming on. They're looking good. This total's too high, right? However, This line opened up at 48.5, and it's been as high as 50.5. Why is that, Blake? The public has joined with the pros on this one. The over's been bet. Let's see, 67% of the bets are on the over, which I run from when you see a number like that. Blake, 96% of the money, though, is on the over. That line has moved from, 48.5 to 50.5. I'll take it at 49.5. I don't have this one in my count. It was too flimsy, but I'm going to take that one. I'm taking the over. I'm sorry.
Oh, Todd's here. Dad's here.
Uh-oh.
Feels like a trap game for Buffalo. They're going to be looking past the Rams. And how many times did Stafford play in a meaningless game that looks like he's going to save the Lions season, throws for 1 billion yards, and then at the end of the season they lose to the Cardinals and the Seahawks and they're eliminated from the playoffs? But they go, but he threw for 500 yards against the Bills, and we looked so good. Just feels like one of those games.
No, I hope so. I hope so, because that would I need Josh Allen to fall in the MVP race so I can right my ship.
Yep.
It's not a terrible thought. I can't really argue that point at all. But I just think that they're rolling. That game next week too. Like, they can't afford, just to Todd's point, which I do not disagree with at all. But they can't afford to look ahead because they have to win out, because they need KC to drop one more so that they have a chance at a 1 seed.
Yes.
Just like the Lions, like with this Green Bay game tonight, they really can't afford to lose this game. I don't know if people realize this. They lose this game, they're the 2 seed now, because it'll come down to conference record, and Philly is undefeated in conference.
And you do not want to go through. You don't want to go through Philly.
No. So on to the next one, Sunday Night Football. I'm very excited for this game.
Yes,
Jim Harbaugh's the best. Chargers at Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 3.5. Over under here of 43.5. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. I've got to start this off this way, Blake. Let me say, my eyeballs, my biases tell me I love the Chargers. How much do I love the Chargers, Blake? I just laid money at 35-1 odds for them to be your next Super Bowl champion.
I love that.
Yes. The line move tells me I should be taking the Chargers. So this is one of these games I was talking to you about. Depending on what book you're looking at, what splits I'm looking at, the sharp side is different on everyone. So bottom line is what we said, Blake. I can't wait to watch this game. And what I like is I like the Chiefs getting healthy. I like Hollywood coming back. I like the line getting healthy. I like Pacheco getting a full load this week, getting rid of is it Kareem Hunt, whoever the other guy is. I always lose names. And I also love the fact that everybody is waiting for Kansas City to fall on their face. They just continue to do this, and they've kind of fallen out of the darling. I'm telling you, I've heard they are the worst 11-1 team in the NFL history. So where am I? I'm on the Chiefs -4.
By the way, the worst
3.5.
The worst 11-1 team. I think it was. Well, they were 11-0. It was that Steelers team from 2 years ago with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. Okay. That was the worst 11-0 team, and then they got smoked. All right, on to the next. Or wait, no,
we need your pick, buddy.
Yeah, I should probably do that.
We need your Harbaugh pick.
I'm just distracted. Chargers +3.5.
All right. What?
Chargers.
No way.
Yeah, it's the Chiefs.
I know.
It's gonna be a field goal game.
There's gonna be a little bit of wind up there, and Kansas City does not have a kicker. So if this is a tight game, they're in trouble.
But this
I think
total
they're on their
is
third
so
kicker.
low.
Yeah, it's I think they were calling 9-mile-an-hour winds with gusts up to 23. It could play havoc, but what's playing havoc is I think Kansas City's on their third kicker. I think their backup, the guy that was doing all right for butt kiss, is out too. So they're on their third kicker, I believe.
All right, and on to the Simpsons game. Monday Night Football.
So bad.
Bengals at Cowboys. Bengals are favored by 5.5. Over under here of 49.5. I'm gonna just take Joe Burrow. I'm gonna take Joe Burrow, and I'm gonna take the over.
Gotcha.
I don't know if we could do this, Todd, but the next time I pick the Bengals, can you just make it Joe Burrow and not Cincinnati? Because I'm just betting on him. I'm not betting on that defense. I'm not betting on anything else. I'm not betting on the coach. I'm betting on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
And every time I follow suit and take Cincinnati, I just want a face of ugly Zach Taylor.
Yep.
So, I mean, the first thing I wrote about this game, Blake, is how is this game not flex? We found out it's because of the Simpsons. The damn Simpsons are doing this. The Bengals come into this game losing 4 of their last 5 games with one of the worst, softest defenses in history. Zach Taylor is going to ruin your boy Joe Burrow. If you go a month ago, let's go a month and a half ago, would you have believed that Dallas would enter this game the better looking team? But they are. They're the better looking, more put together team. I actually wanted these numbers to come out to where I could take Dallas, and I would have ran and taken down. Like I said, I'm going to be on this game in my account at some point. I just can't put it on Cincinnati. I want these numbers to turn around. But 55% of the bets, everyone loves the Cowboys, Blake. 55% of the bets, this line hasn't moved off of 5.5. For the sake of the show, I've got to follow my numbers and do the sharp line freeze and take Cincinnati minus 5.5.
You're taking Joe Burrow.
I am 0 for 2024 with Zach Taylor bets. This is awful, awful. I hope I can get. I'm not going to change this, but I hope in my account I'm able to take Dallas because these numbers turn around.
Yeah. All right. I do have some other NFL picks, but I want to get out of here just as bad as everyone else does to watch the Lions game. So, that being said, thank you, Todd, as always, for everything you do for us on the back end.
Thank you,
You can
Todd.
follow Mike on Twitter at Mike Ivesil. Go check him out. You can follow me on Twitter at Blake on Sports. I'll probably be yelling about something about Michigan football on there. So come check us out.
You want to know my NFL bets? Hit me up.
Yep. Well, you know what? I will post my other NFL picks onto my Twitter account.
And then I'll tag me on that one, and I'll throw mine right after.
Beautiful. And thank you guys for listening and watching, and we will see you next Friday. Next week.
Yep.
And
Go Lions.
Go Lions. We are out.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.